ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for What Do You Call It? Podcast!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is the Queen of Chaos, member of the Righteous. Please give it up for Vita Vonstarr. How you doing today? You all good?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thank you for coming on. Before I kickstart the show, I did actually want to talk about a recent match that you had with Lufisto at CCW Battleground. It's just I watched it courtesy of Title Match Wrestling. Great channel, cheap plug. I thought it was a good match. I just want to know, how was she as an opponent?
She was amazing. You know, she's a legend. And going into, I was always a fan of her going into it. You know, it doesn't, you know, I watched a lot of women's wrestling, so it doesn't take long to start coming across Lufisto matches, you know. I do like hardcore, and when I first started training, you know, CZW is right down the road from me, so I watched a lot of CZW and a lot of WSU matches and stuff like that. And I just thought she was such a badass, you know, and she was always wearing metal shirts, you know. I was like, oh, this chick is like, wearing an Anthrax shirt, whatever, you know. I was like, oh, we'll definitely get along. So, you know, I had it met all my expectations. It was a dream match for me, honestly. I thought we just had a really good flow, like, throughout the whole match, and she definitely hits hard, which I was expecting. But she, you know, she can take it too. So, so I was super happy with it, and the fans seem to really like it. So, I have nothing but respect for Lufisto.
I did notice the fans were proper into it as well, and it did get some good feedback as well. I noticed in the comments as well. But I myself, I really enjoyed it, and there's a reason why she wasn't recently inducted to the Hall of Fame as well. But I just wanted to ask about it just because it just popped in my head and it was recent as well. So no, it's good to hear that not just inside the ring, but you know, you had the honour and it was a good experience for you. Just before we do go back into wrestling, you actually worked in the circus as an aerialist. I think it's quite interesting. Someone I used to work with was kind of similar to doing that, and just seeing some of the photos, just like I didn't realise how much skill and you know flexibility you got to have for that role. I just want to hear from you. Just when did you begin working in the circus?
I began working in circus probably about 10 years ago. I did gymnastics as a kid, so a lot of people with a gymnastics background go into circus later on, and it was just natural for me. I always loved climbing on things and hanging upside down on stuff. You know, on the playground when you're a kid, you know, you do stupid stuff. So it's been good for me. You know, I've learned so much about the human body and what it's capable of, and it's taken me some really cool places, and helped with you know, all the other training that I've done. I helped with wrestling, with endurance and stuff like that. Already like having an understanding of how bodies move interactively and stuff like that. So
I can imagine it's assisting you into your training and you know just how to sort of you know work your body and sort of be flexible as well. I can imagine actually massively benefiting you. When did you discover wrestling, by the way?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think it's kind of.
It's insane. I'm actually not a fan of wrestling growing up till later on. I just wasn't really like you know, you see it, you know, it's like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, everybody knows like that kind of stuff. But I really didn't get into it until I started training. That was about 7 years ago, and now I'm a huge fan. You know, I don't know, it's a weird thing, you know, but it's an art form to me. So like that was how I was originally attracted to it as a performing art, same as circus. And I did just fall in love with the training. Obviously I love like flipping around and jumping off of stuff. So that part of it felt really natural to me.
Okay, yeah.
The psychology part was really hard, and like how to put a match together and stuff like that. But yeah, the physical part of it, I was just drawn to immediately.
So what? Because you just mentioned there, like you basically didn't become a fan until you started training. So what actually sort of inspired you to start training to be a pro wrestler, but you weren't really a fan of it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually, because I had known some girls that I was friends with were starting to start training and getting into it, and had this idea to start this kind of like DIY women's league. It was called PLOW, Philadelphia Ladies of Wrestling, and it was a punk rock aesthetic, very DIY, which I was into. So everyone who was involved with PLOW had a skateboarding background or an art background, or were in bands. So that's how we all kind of like knew each other from like different scenes like that. And yeah, and then one of the girls like had this idea, and I was like, cool, yeah, we ran with it. And we did do a bunch of shows, actually. We did a bunch of fundraisers. We didn't know a lot of wrestling, so like all of our shows were more like variety shows, and we did like promos and stuff like that. And we had bands play, and I did some like circus acts and stuff like that. And we had a good turnout for everything we did, and it was awesome. So that was how I got started. And now that there was a group of 6 of us, and now one of the girls from that original group still trains with me to this day. Cool. Her name's the Crusher, and she's awesome. So definitely check out the Crusher if you don't know who she is. But yeah, we still train together to this day, and still, she's a really amazing artist as well. So that's kind of how I fell into it. And yeah, like I said, once I got into training, I just knew that I had to keep going.
No, I respect that. With the train itself, I know we've mentioned about that. Essentially, you may have had actually a benefit and sort of an advantage over the others with your flexibility and being able to sort of hold yourself in certain positions as well. And you mentioned about psychology, but was there any other challenges that you faced in the training?
Yeah, the wrestling business itself is just a challenge. Being involved in a lot of toxic environments, I would say navigating that and just kind of maintaining your own integrity is hard sometimes, maintaining your own sense of value. So there is an emotional aspect to pro wrestling, to any art form really, but to anything that you're heavily involved in. So I would say kind of maintaining sanity is a little tricky sometimes.
No, that's fair. There's a reason why I sit here and speak to the wrestlers, and
I mean that goes for all of life, but like yeah, in wrestling, sometimes it's a little tricky.
I can imagine. I mean, I'm only a fan, but yeah, you're here and just talking to and starting this podcast. Yeah, I kind of gather the information that's been given to me already. No, that's fair. That's fair. Since you became a wrestling fan, do you have any favorites?
Any favorites? Oh yeah, I mean, so many. It depends what I'm watching at the moment. So I love Rey Mysterio. I love lucha. I was always attracted to lucha because I love the high flying, obviously, and I love the glitter, and the tradition of it is awesome. So he's always been one of my favorites. And I always say Undertaker too, because of like just the presence he had and the theatricality, like the entrance, everything about him.
Oh yeah, best gimmick of all time, 100%.
Yeah, and
Scared me shitless as a kid, but I love him now.
yeah, how could you not? He's done so much, and yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many women wrestlers that are up there, like just so many. But I would say like one of the classics for me is China, just because like she's just such a powerhouse, and just was there like beating down.
She was a trailblazer. I mean, like, yeah. I know, like, later years weren't great, but I mean, the fact that what she achieved in such a short space of time, exactly. I think she still should be rewarded like Hall of Fame. This is me just being a fan that's moaning, but she deserves her own induction. But exactly. I've had a lot of female wrestlers on the show, and majority of them have mentioned China being a huge influence. And I think she was awesome, ahead of her time in a way.
Oh yeah, she was ahead of her time. But yeah, I mean, like Trish and Lita also, were like big ones for me. So yeah, and now currently there's so many. It's hard to pick, but those are like the top ones that usually come to mind for me.
I feel like you've I've only been 7 years, but you've managed to squeeze like 30 years of wrestling into your.
I know, right?
I like that. I like that.
History is important,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you probably know more people that have been in it for like twice the length you have. I bet that pissed them off a little bit. But no, that is awesome. That's awesome. I actually want to ask about the training with Cheeseburger, just because I spoke to Ron Hunt, and I just think like you don't hear anything bad about him. So it seems like a lovable guy. I've never met him, but just I'm going what people have told me in the past. How was he as a coach?
He is a lovable guy. He is definitely a lovable guy.
Another one says it.
I know. It's like he's one of those people that if you don't get along, it's a you problem, because he's just so easy.
That's something wrong with you, yeah.
Yeah. And I love training with him. It's a super good environment. It's just always positive, always good vibes at the Worldwide Dojo. And he always does a lot of research and stuff, and learns different stuff to teach us, like different exercises, different warm-ups and stuff like that. And yeah, last night we were doing a lot of like tag team drills that were really fun, and just kind of like focusing on like a specific thing like that is cool. We do a lot of promos there, so he really does try to give us a good, well-rounded education.
I respect the fact that even though you've been wrestling for quite a long time now, you're still training and still wanting to sort of improve yourself. Do you provide have you got a position now? Do you feel like you can feel comfortable with giving people advice and putting them aside and giving them sort of your own advice?
I still feel weird about that. It depends on the situation, but I guess if I'm in a match with someone who is like a lot greener than me, then I do feel like it's part of my duty to give them feedback, this was a little weird, or, it would work better if you did it this way, just like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's really the only time I would.
But you wouldn't take over from Cheeseburger, just like, right, we'll do it for the next few hours.
No, I do help him with warm-ups and conditioning though, because I definitely I'm more than qualified to lead when it comes to that kind of stuff. So like sometimes if he's like doing back-to-back class, he's like, oh, can you just like get him warmed up? I'm like, all right, yeah. So we're gonna do a lot of shoulders and core today, guys. And then everyone's like groaning because I'm like pretty hard when it comes to that stuff. But I mean, I love that kind of. Coaching has been my day job for a really long time, through like Circus and stuff like that. So
so that's Steve wrestlers say. I love when wrestlers say that. I love it. I don't know why, it just makes me laugh. I mean, so. Another coach you had, and it actually sort of leads on to your first match in Ring of Honor during the pandemic, by the way. Must have been weird having no fans. Was it Sumi Sakai? Which was the first Ring of Honor Women's Champion. How was she as a coach first, before we talk about your match?
Sumi is another one that I just absolutely adore. She is just such a great person. You know, she's a legend as well. She's been doing this for a long time. She has a shoot background, you know, so she knows a lot of like judo, different stuff that like other coaches wouldn't normally teach.
Oh, she's like proper badass then. Like.
She is a badass. She's such a badass. I mean, like, yeah, the fact that, you know, she's still doing it at, like, after this long and still has the passion for it and is still so willing to help other people out is amazing. And you know, the pro wrestling world is lucky to have Sumi Sakai. You know, she's a gift, and she's a beautiful person, really. I just have nothing but good things to say about her.
Oh, that's sweet. I feel bad now. We'll talk about the match you had with her, where you may or may have not bitten her. I mean, it was a good match, and the fact that you did it during a pandemic, no fans. I mean, how was that first? How was it no fans being there?
That's always been weird, you know, but for me, because I did so many other kinds of performing, so many other kinds of production, being in a studio like that was not weird to me, because I've done so many different kinds of camera work. Like I did acting gigs and stuff like that. So that part wasn't really weird, other than, you know, the fans like do give you energy, you know, when it's like a good crowd. And so the energy is different. I would say that was the biggest thing. And it was just like, yeah, we just got to get through this. But I think we're past it now. So
thank God. I'm not going to talk about Kai because it's a downer, but I'm so glad it's back of us. Although may or may not be going into World War III, but that's let's leave that one. It's a massive downer. But we will talk about a positive. You had a really good match with her. The match is available online. It's your first outing. I thought you smashed it. And I want to ask, how was the experience, just the match itself? What did she say to you afterwards? If you're allowed to tell us.
That was a while ago. Man, that's a tricky one. Yeah, I don't remember. You know, when you wrestle a match and you get backstage after it's over, like, you get bombarded with so much feedback.
Oh, really?
Especially at Ring of Honor, I got a lot of feedback from Vincent and Delirious and everyone involved back there. So it's hard to keep track. Sometimes you get like so much feedback.
Just,
and you're like, what did I?
There's only so much. Like, I've only got 20 years of wrestling in my mind. Like, guys.
Yeah. So I don't remember, but I remember. I think she was happy with it, from what I remember.
She did buy it.
I don't think there was anything like really terrible that I like messed up real bad.
No, I thought it was a good match. Like, I didn't actually know that was your first match until we watched it. I was like, oh, no. And then I missed the commentator saying it, and I was like, oh, right, fair enough. But no, I mean, the fact that you did it during the pandemic. I mean, you have wrestled before, but when did you make your actual official debut in wrestling?
I made my official debut in 2017. Actually, I was not Vita Vonstarr. I'd done a couple of other gimmicks. I had a couple of lucha gimmicks, actually. But the first time I ever wrestled in front of a paid crowd was a one-off lucha character for this show called Gorgeous Ladies of Burlesque, and it was a variety show that had wrestling as well. And I had a match in that, and it was very, very campy, which I like. Very theatrical kind of.
That is wrestling. That's not going to look like plays of wrestling, so.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that was 2017. So that was my first actual debut. But then I think it was almost 2 years before I actually became Vita Vonstarr.
The name itself, I think it's quite cool. But like, is there a specific origin to it, or is it just a random name? I like it. It's different.
Thank you. I came up with it as it's burlesque sounding. It has kind of like a sideshow circus feel to it. and I just put star in the name because that was my self-fulfilling prophecy and telling the whole world that I'm a motherfucking star. So that's that.
I think it's not a family show. That's cool. I swear not, but it's fine. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've beaten Nia Law, Andrea Love, and Amanda Leon. I just want to know, did that victory have any sort of specific meaning to you? Just because, especially Andrea Love has been around for quite a long time, and you know she's won multiple belts. Did the match have a special place for you?
The match with Sumi, or
no. So with Andrea Love and Mandy Leon.
Oh, with Mandy and Angelina, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, my God, then.
Sorry, yeah, that was a jump. I was like, oh, what are we talking about now? Yeah, that does have a special place for me because that was actually my only pay-per-view match with Ring of Honor because of everything with the pandemic. And I was on like a lot of other pay-per-views with them as a valet, but that was the only one I got to do that I was actually wrestling. So that meant a lot to me.
And he got to win. They teamed up with, was it Max the Impaler? Her looks cool, by the way. Her look is so cool. It's like Mad Max and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Max is very unique for sure. I'm a big fan.
She's pretty cool. I think I was going to reach out, so I probably bumped my head off. So.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Max.
No, that's cool. I actually realised that's pretty much your only pay-per-view match that you have in Ring of Honor. But I want to touch on the Righteous, one of the factions of Ring of Honor, with the members Bateman, Dutch, and led by Vincent. I want to ask, how did you join the faction?
That came about. I didn't even know it was happening till a few hours before. I was there for ring crew, and I was told to bring my gear. I thought I might have a dark match or something like that. And then Vincent came up to me backstage and was like, yeah, so I'm starting this new faction. It's going to be a Devil's Rejects kind of thing. You know, horror. What do you think? Are you into it? And I was like, yeah.
It's a great film, by the way. Great film.
Oh, yeah, 100%. One of my favorites. I was like,
really
into those. Yeah, and I was a fan of him anyway because of that, like the horror thing. And so I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Nice. No, I think it's a cool look. Obviously, it came off the the Kingdom now. But what does it mean to you as a stable? I mean, what does it sort of represent? If you had to explain to someone that's lived under a rock, never heard of the Righteous, and you had to say, okay, this is what we, basically are about. This is why we are the way we are. We look the way we are. I think you've explained some of it, the Devil's Rejects. But...
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I always say, because a lot of people compare us to a cult, and we definitely have those kinds of vibes. We're definitely dark and sinister. But I was initiated into the Righteous, and I always say that Vincent taught me how to be myself in a world that didn't accept misfits necessarily, so and anybody who feels out of place in this world, or who think that you deserve more, and you do, the Righteous has a place for you.
Sold. I'm sold. No, I like Vincent. I like his work. I liked his feud with Matt Taven. I thought they really, obviously they were partners as well, but I just really enjoyed the stuff. And I think you guys look good together. No similarities, but you can tell there's chemistry's there. Like you do kind of get on. Sometimes you just can't fake it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean they have a long history. They go way back. So
if you could recruit anyone, I actually got a feeling who it might be, just because we just mentioned, maybe the director of the film. But if you recruit one person for the Righteous, dead or alive, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't have to be best and related, who would you pick?
It's a tricky question.
You've got to think as well. You've got to think it's going to benefit the group, not just because you're a fan of them personally, but you've got to think for the group as well.
I've always wanted Max the Impaler, but they already have a trio, so Max is kind of taken, but that would be my first pick.
Oh wait, Max, you're not left out. Would you pick Rob Zombie to be in it? I think he would look good.
I feel like he's pretty busy. I feel like he's got so many projects going on.
What are you up to, mate? Like,
but I mean, Bill Mosley, absolutely. We were, Vincent's actually friends with him. We were trying to get him in for a show at one point, but COVID stuff and like travel was like weird and everything. But we were obviously like huge fans of him. So I mean, if we were gonna have an honorary member, it would definitely be Bill Mosley.
Nice. What other companies have you really enjoyed working with? Because I know you've done quite various, in America, but I just want to know what have been some of the standouts to you.
Yeah, there's CCW that you mentioned earlier is a relatively new women's promotion, and that's been a really good experience so far. And it's only maybe 6 months that we started, and he's really putting the work into making a good product. He's bringing a lot of good talent, good commentators, and stuff like that. So that's one that I've really enjoyed. WSU hasn't done anything for a number of years, but did enjoy doing those shows. H2O is another one pretty close by. I really there's no one that I don't like. Like I try like only go places that have.
Oh no, I'm not trying to put a negative spin on it. I always try to keep it as a positive show. I think you can tell by my laughter. But.
Yeah. I really enjoy like the women's companies that I've done recently have been really good. So yeah, I'm just always looking to have a good time, really. So
would you have any plans to want to sort of go abroad, rest of outside of the US? No cheap plug to the UK, but is there any like destination that you'd really like to go?
Yeah, I do want to get to the UK. I would always love Eve, and Max is over there now, actually. I was just kind of like waiting for like the COVID situation to die down a little bit before I haven't left the country since everything started, but
understandable.
I need to get out of this country. So I did a Canada. I before the pandemic, I was going up to Canada a lot. It like doesn't really count, but
I'll let you off. I'll count it. Don't worry.
I want to go to Mexico as well again because I just like love lucha so much. I would love to like train with those guys and do some shows down there, and of course like Japan, is always bucket list for a lot of people. So I just want to go everywhere, anywhere and everywhere.
No, I like that. Don't just necessarily one specific destination. Literally spin the globe and see where it takes you.
For sure.
Now, I heard Canada was pretty strict. I had a few Canadian messages on it, like Ava Lawless, and she was like saying like, "I was really bad, like literally like in terms of lockdown." But good things. I'm glad it's better though, and it's better for us. And it's better for you as well because COVID was shit. So just have to say that. But there is one last question, but it's going to be different. It's not going to be like, "What's your favorite match?" or whatever. Like, I'm going to ask if you could pick 3 dream dinner guests. To you, you're the host, so you can pick anyone. Again, doesn't have to be wrestling related, dead or alive. People that you're fascinated by, historical purposes. Someone from a band, doesn't matter. But you get to pick 3 dinner guests for your dream dinner party. Who would you pick? I know, right on the spot. Is this something I've been trying out lately? And I get good responses from it. So
it's a very broad question.
And some people get stuck on this. Some people straight away. I was like, you've been thinking about it for a while.
Well, if you said people in bands, then I like automatically kind of go to musicians. So I'd say Ozzy. I think Ozzy would be a fun dinner guest.
But he won't remember it, but yeah.
Yeah, he probably won't remember that it happened, but we would all be entertained by it. Freddie Mercury, Uh,
I watched Bohemian Rhapsody again. So good. So good. Such a shame.
And a third one.
Sorry, I've just got like under pressure in my head now at the moment. So I'm just switching off. Just like you can actually see it.
Okay, so then David Bowie. Okay, David Bowie,
nice.
Ozzy, and Freddie Mercury. Those are my dinner guests.
Out of those three, Ozzy's the one that's alive.
Exactly.
I didn't think it would you if you had to guess like 4 years ago. No, who's going to be the one that dies first? Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. He's still going. Yeah.
I love Ozzy. I miss the Osbournes. Did you ever watch that?
I did.
Just like the way you'd be like, shut
not a lot, but like he's such a character. I mean,
he's
you
great.
can't understand
I
anything he says, but
no,
maybe Sharon.
But it's just like I don't know what you
Black
say.
Sabbath is my favorite band of all time.
Is it?
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Probably say Queen, maybe, or maybe Nirvana. I don't know. I think some people I've mentioned Nirvana in this podcast. I can't remember what it was. Like, they're shit. I was just like, I'm gonna say some words to you after we stop recording. But no, that's cool. So interesting ones. So you've got Freddie Mercury, Dave Bowie, and Ozzy Osbourne. That'd be a fun party if Ozzy can make it to the end of the meal. But no, awesome. What is next for Vita Vonstarr?
Next weekend, I have a fight with Lady Frost. This is for Combat Fights Unlimited, and
nice.
That's going to be at H2O, which is in Jersey. And there are tickets available, so there are fans for that one, and it's a cage fight. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. That'll be a good time.
That'd be good. Lady Frost is good. Seeing an impact. That'll be maybe you two. Someone's gonna lose, and
someone has to lose. But...
Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
What's going on in the world? It's the Rev Ron Hunt, and I will be the next guest on What You Call It podcast right here. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I heard. But no, that's awesome. Where can the listeners find you on social media?
You can get me on Instagram. It's Vita Vonstarr, VitaVonstarr, and V Vonstarr Twitter.
Awesome. I'll put the details in the description below so the listeners, if they want to reach out and find you on social media, they can do so that way. I want to thank you for coming on. We did get there in the end, but no, I appreciate it. I can understand that you are busy and busy schedule as well, but making the time to do this interview, it is always appreciated. So thank you. For the listeners out there, there is going to be more episodes of What Do You Call It podcast coming up very soon. But for now, everyone, I was going to say have a good weekend, but I don't know when it's actually going to come out. But enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your morning, your afternoon, evening. Whatever you're doing, stay safe. Take care.
Absolutely.
The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.